Welcome to the Young Adult Podcast. I am your co-host, Dawson Poling.
I am your other co-host, Tom Jing. Today, we have Cam Guzman with us. Cam, give a little intro about yourself.
Yeah, honored to be here. I'm Cameron. I am a sophomore studying physical education at Aurora University right now. I graduated from Oswego High School in 2023, so yeah.
Okay, what made you go into that major?
Just my love for sports. I'm also a minor in health, so I do a lot of working with activity in the body for high school students, so young adults, and just being able to get them exercising, get them working, active.
Yeah, I remember you played college in high school and college, right?
Yeah, you did play. I was just going to ask you, what sports did you play? But with soccer. So you first went to what college?
I first went to Calvin University in Michigan. I was playing soccer there.
And what was your college experience playing a college sport?
It was hard. I mean, it is draining if you don't love the sport. And I think I kind of just went there and just kind of fell out of love with the sport. And so when you're waking up early, staying up late for the sport, traveling every day, traveling every weekend, it's like you just get drained. And I think for me that was a big mental and physical toll. So when you don't enjoy it, it's just a drag, You
You no longer love the game.
No
longer love the game, and the passion's gone, and that's when everything becomes a job. The sport is no longer a fun time that I go enjoy. It becomes a daily job.
Yeah. What's super interesting for me, I played tennis in college,
right?
And I actually had the opposite thing happen, just because tennis, you're there all by yourself. Like when you're playing, you're all by yourself. When I was growing up, all the way to 18. I'm on the court by myself, and it was just mentally draining because it's lonely out there.
It's an individual sport.
But then when I went to college and played on a team, it was like, oh my gosh, I get to play with people, and that was actually really fun. And I had a coach who he was pretty chill with practices and stuff, so maybe not the best thing to it might not be the best to have a good team, but it was pretty chill. And but that's probably not the normal. You probably had when
did you start playing tennis?
Oh, when it's crazy to say, but 2 decades ago, when that's crazy, when I was 5.
That is insane.
I started playing when I was 3, so that's how it, so
two decades.
This is my first year out of 16 years of not playing soccer.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have so much more free time?
I do. I feel like I have a lot of free time, but I'm also really enjoying finding what I'm truly passionate about, and
That's good.
finding where the Lord's leading me in that, because it's I have time to actually seek that now.
I want to expand that on a little bit. I feel like a lot of young adults who are watching this podcast, they may be in a situation right now where they're like you guys. They've played a sport or they've done something for a very long time, but they fell out of it for a long time. They no longer have the love for it, but they're still doing it because they have teams, their parents make them do it, or they just feel obligated because they're going to college for that sport, right? What recommendations would you give them, whether if they should stop and change it up, or whether if they should, what do you think they should do when they're in that situation where they're still in the sport, but they know that they're starting to fall out of love with it?
That's a good question.
For me personally, I had a coach who was a really good mentor. He was kind of a guy that you either loved him or you disliked him. I personally loved him because he was just hard as nails. And I got lonely out there on the tennis court, but it was when he said, if you go out on the court and just give it your all, it practice, a match, it doesn't matter. If you go out on the court and give it your all, you give it a 10 out of 10, you can have no regrets when you finish. And so I would go out, I would put my head down, I wouldn't look at the clock to see when class was going to finish, and I would just try as best as I could. And I found so much more fulfillment from that. And that's kind of what kept me going in tennis, because I wanted to quit so many times, but I am glad I did not. So, yeah.
I'm glad I did. But for me, it's like, for the young adult that's there and like they feel like they're stuck and they can't because of their coach or their parents or a scholarship, which is big, like financials. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's like, if you died right now, does that matter? You know, it's like, are you gonna die like just in that, I guess, like you don't even want to do that. You're not even doing what you want to do. Like, you have so much more potential somewhere else doing something you love and being passionate about it. It's like, if you're just stuck in that day to day, like you don't want to be there, you're complaining because you hate it, like honestly, you're just killing yourself at the end of the day. You're not mentally going to be strong. Physically, you're going to be hurting. It's like, you know, so.
Now, from what you learned playing soccer, good or bad, how did that translate into your life as a high schooler and then as a young adult? Any lessons you learned,
Well,
like good or bad?
Yeah.
Because it seems like you didn't have the best relationship with soccer.
No, and that's the thing. Like, honestly, I love soccer. I loved it. Like, that was my life probably before I committed to college, though. Like, maybe senior year was a little rough too, but like all my life I just loved it. Like, I could play all day long. I love to practice. I love to get better. I love to watch it and learn, and I loved it. So when I fell out of love with it, I knew that, and I'm like, shoot, like I don't actually love it anymore. It's not something I'm passionate about. But what was your question?
Some lessons that you learned.
Sorry, I was like,
no, it's fine. It was still good.
I think there's two sides of it. One side of it, in the love, it like built me up as who I am. Like, it shaped me, like physically, mentally, like through like all the challenges of playing, being able to build my character in that, being able to take criticism, being able to work with other people, communicate, stuff like that. Like, that's so strong to who I am today. But the negative side is, I think it became my identity as well. In high school, it's like everything I did was through this lens of being an athlete. Everything I did, decision I made, where I went, everything was through, oh, I have soccer and I'm playing soccer. You know, so it's like that becomes an identity and an idol in my life that I needed to take down.
I think that's really good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like, especially in today's world, right? I hear about, you know, kids being known as for sports when they're in college, right?
It's really their identity.
It's their identity. You know, they're in college, they're playing sports, something they're really good at. That's what people know them as, right? And I feel like in high school, you know, you recognize someone, oh, he's the football player, he's the basketball player, you know, or and a lot of time these days where I've noticed that a lot of parents are forcing their kids to play sports and kind of forcing them into that identity, right? So what kind of suggestion would you give to someone who, you know, how do you find your own identity?
It's a great question.
That's a great question, man. I think for me, like personally, going through those years, it's when you're in it, you don't realize it's your identity, right? Like you're fulfilling this dream, you're pursuing this passion. You don't realize that there's an identity until you look higher and you're like, okay, God, how are you in this? And it's like when you really run your roots deep in Jesus, it's like, okay, if I'm really living for Jesus, how is this sport? How am I glorifying him in that? And I think for me, like, makes sense. I fell out of love with it senior year. That's when I got saved. So that's when I lost the love for the sport, because what am I doing for Jesus while I'm playing the sport?
Yeah.
Because soccer was your number one.
It was my number
now
one.
God has, you know, shown you the light and shown you that, hey, that you've been idolizing that for a long time. And I think, you know, people do struggle with that. People put sports their life. You know, I know I have friends who are a couple D1 players, and I know all they do is class, practice. That's it. Yeah. Like,
that's true.
You know, they lift, class, practice after, go to bed. Yeah. Same thing again, 7 days a week.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like, it's not even necessarily their fault, because if they're there on scholarship, they have to attend those things, right? How, you know, it's kind of like you're talking about, you want to grow spiritually, you know, you want God to be your first, but it takes time, right? It takes time, and it takes the mindset to be like, hey, I need to put God first regardless what happens. Right. But
Right.
it's tough when these athletes are being put through.
Right. And I think it's
timelines.
great. Like, if you're great at your sport, like, that's awesome. Like,
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
pursue that. Like, if you love it, like, go to college, play. But it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now after college, are you going to keep playing? Like, what does that look like? Like, what does
Yeah.
your career look like?
Mm-hmm.
But just for me, like, if it's their identity, that's not stable.
Yeah.
And that's not a firm foundation that you're going to be rooted in for the rest of your life, you
Right.
know?
Mm-hmm. So you graduated high school how long ago?
2023, so 2 years ago.
Gotcha. Now, for someone who is still in high school or just graduated and they're trying to find their identity, what are some of the things that they usually find their identity in?
That's a great question.
I love that.
That's a
good.
great question.
That's real good.
Snaps to that one. Wow. That's huge for a transition as well. Like, going to high school and college, it's like, shoot, I don't have my same friend group. I don't have the same, I'm not with my parents. I'm living on my own. Like, what does that look like? It's like everyone's trying to navigate what their life is and find purpose. And I think oftentimes when people go to college, the first thing they run to is first people and second drinking. Second drinking and drugs and parties. It's like, because they want to feel involved, included. And it's like, okay, college, people hear college life, like, what do you think of? Parties, frat life.
Parties,
Yeah,
drinking,
literally.
go crazy.
Right, like, this is your time to live. And okay, but what is your true purpose in your life? And I think people struggle not only with identity, but with their purpose. Like, why am I here? You know?
Right. And I feel like I feel like I saw that probably a little more than you guys. I'm not sure what Kelvin is. Was Kelvin a Christian
It was.
university?
It
Okay.
was.
I know Dawson's Cedarville University, it's
Yeah.
very conservative, things like that. And I mean, I went to a Christian university too, but my Christian university, Grand Canyon, GCU, I mean,
Name drop.
hey, I'll name
I
drop.
was just like,
Look,
wait, is he gonna name
Look,
drop
I'll
them?
name drop. If you go, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, the school is 20 minutes away from Arizona State.
Biggest part of school.
I mean,
Okay.
we are
Number
in the heart of Phoenix. We are next to one of the.
He's like, you're not playing any games. But
Yeah,
Christian.
like look, now GCU does have a lot of Christian in it. It's the people
Values.
that go. It's the people that go, right? It's because it's affordable, right? It's everyone is accepted there, and it's hard, man. I mean, even at Calvin at Cedarville, I'm sure there are non-Christians, right? But they're smaller schools. Like Cedarville, how many people did?
I was like 4,500.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
something.
I wasn't much more. Yeah.
yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
more? Okay,
GCU
yeah.
is 4 or 5 times the size of that,
right.
And we're in the one of major cities.
Yeah.
So,
Nice
in
weather.
in college, I saw a lot of even Christian kids in high school that I went with turn away from the Lord and get into partying, drinking, and things like that because of the friends that they meet when they first get into college, right? They select a random roommate, and their random roommate already started partying in high school, and what are they looking to do in college? Party more. First time they're away from home.
Yep.
First time they have freedom, they're gonna party more, right? And if your foundation is not strong in the Lord, you're gonna fall into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna fall into that. Right? I've seen it. I've seen it. I've done it.
Yeah.
Except, I personally I didn't really care for drinking and partying that much. I went a couple times and I was like, well, this is really dumb.
Wow,
I'm out here.
now. I'm not even full.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I'm out here what am I doing out here? Super tired at 2:00 and I didn't even have fun.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Honestly, people run to these things and they're like, dude, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to be so involved. But then you wake up the next morning and you're just empty. You're like, that didn't fill me.
Exactly. And this is not even Christian value based, but because I have a lot of friends who are not Christians, and we talked about this after we were done college or at the end of our college, because I graduated 2 years ago, and we were like, man, sometime when we went out, we all rather just stay home,
Yeah.
Not even on a Christian value. Like we just sometimes you just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like and I think that a lot of people are not willing to admit it while they're in college because they don't want to lose what their friends like. They don't want to lose their friends by stop partying.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? They want to do what their friends are doing. And their friends are partying, even if they don't like it, they'll still go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? Like I didn't care. If I don't want to go, I don't want to go. You
Yeah.
know? Like to me, I don't care, you know, if you're my friend and I don't want to go with you to this because I don't like it, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you're going to stay my friends because we're friends because of our personalities and, you know, how we treat each other.
Yeah.
Not because whether if I go to a party with you. But I feel like a lot of young adults struggle with that where they fall into a trap of partying because at first they might be doing something that they don't even like to do, but they feel obligated to do it because their friends are doing it.
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it really comes down to who are you trying to please? And if you're constantly trying to please people, of course you're going to be falling into all this stuff because you're going to be they're always chasing more, you know, they're like, what's the next thing? What's the next high that we're getting? It's like it constantly just adds up. And if you're pleasing people, that's what you're going to fall into.
Yeah. It seems like you just said people are always chasing something.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to find purpose in something. And it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could even be like chasing a job,
money,
just
yeah.
obsessed money. It could be chasing a person. You know, like find purpose. Like we try and find purpose in everything. And it's like, Cam, what can a person truly find purpose in?
Wow. And honestly, Dustin, I'm glad you asked that because literally, 3 weeks ago, I had a presentation at AU. It's not Christian college. And it was about the purpose of life. And every single person in my class is like, I think they're against the Lord. And I got to talk about God and like, what is your purpose in this life? And I gave a 5-minute presentation to these people about purpose. So it's been like super like fresh in my mind it keeps coming up for me too. So
give us that little presentation.
Yeah.
Give us the PDF, the PowerPoint.
Wait a minute.
The executive
Downloading.
summary.
Yeah, give us the presentation.
No, but it's like, I mean, truly, I had a bunch of brothers and sisters just praying with me, like preparing for that. And literally every single time I would be like, oh, I have to give a presentation about purpose of life. They're like, okay, that's easy because where is their purpose outside of Jesus? It's like the one who created you, that created everything. If that's not who your purpose is in, you're chasing something false because your purpose and your identity comes from him. And I know that's like kind of cliche and can be hard to understand, but like truly, if you're chasing money, if you're chasing parties, if you're chasing friends, whatever it is, a job, those things are fleeting. Like those are not lasting. And it's like at the end of the day, what matters is where you go after you die.
Right, because
that's your purpose.
Eternal life.
Wow.
That's your purpose.
Yeah, you got that opportunity to share the Lord with everybody. Yeah. It was a God-given moment, you know, and I totally agree with you. Like we're all Christians here, and I know we all struggle at times, right? We need to put God first, and every Christian does, but I know we all struggle. Yeah, you know, material things doesn't last, but we do chase it. I know I've struggled with that. You know, that's one of my biggest struggles. So, what would you recommend for the young adults who are currently chasing something else other than the Lord? How would you steer them towards the right direction to get on the path of glorifying the Lord?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just humility. I know it's hard to like, if you don't believe in God, that's already hard to do. But like, literally just calling out to God and saying like, if you're real, show me what my purpose is. Show me what my identity is, because I know He will. And like, there's my favorite verse, my life verse is Romans 10:13. For everyone who calls in the name of the Lord will be saved. And it's like, all you have to do is call, and it's not just like you saying that, it's your heart posture. And it's like, if your heart posture, if it's always about you and like what you can gain, what you can get, that's a selfish way of living. And I think humility in this day and age is really hard for people. And dying to yourself and being like, I am nothing without my creator. I'm nothing. I have no purpose without God. And being able to say that, I think is hard for people. So the first step of finding purpose is like humbling yourself to there's something greater, and there's something that can direct your path.
Right. Everybody thinks there's something, right?
Yeah.
People doesn't want to admit that they're wrong. People doesn't want to admit that outside of
exactly.
Jesus, that we wouldn't be here if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Jesus.
Right.
Right. So, no, absolutely. So as a young adult, I know what are some ways you could get plugged in in the Christian circle?
Yeah. I think the first step is it's hard at first, especially if you don't have a Christian community. But I think getting into community is the biggest first step, because I've seen Christians that are strong or they're growing, but without fellowship and community, you're not going to grow. And honestly, that was last year at Calvin. I didn't have people that were constantly sharpening me, people that were yoked with me, pushing me closer to the Lord, which left me in this stage of like just no growth, and I'm just stuck where I was at. But getting into community is one of the biggest things. Getting to church on Sunday can be the small step. Getting to church, being with other believers, connecting with a young adult group, being plugged in that way, being able to be sharpened by people your age who care for you and want to see you grow closer to Jesus is like the biggest thing.
Right.
Gotcha.
Who you surround yourself with
It's
is
who you are.
iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Yeah.
You hang out with people who party.
You're
gonna
gonna
Yeah.
party.
You hang out with people who party.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna party. I don't care what
Yeah.
you say,
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
If you hang out with people who drink, you're gonna drink,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be like, dude, come on,
Yeah.
take a sip.
Wait, and
you
it's
know?
it's something like, well, if you're gonna offer me coffee, bro,
Right, I'm like, no,
Hey,
I am
if you hang out, I don't even drink coffee, but I'm hanging out with people who drink. Hey,
Wait.
I'm not even a coffee drinker, but I'm hanging out with people who
All
drink
right,
coffee, and
all
now I'm
right.
drinking
I
coffee.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't even
He's
drink.
like,
Oh,
bro,
wow.
where's the Celsius at?
Come on,
Okay.
I don't tip baristas. That's
yeah,
why.
no, okay. but I did hear, I've heard this so many places. I don't know who came up with it, but it's like the 5 people you surround yourself with, that is who you will become.
So good.
And it is like in my life, I've seen it so much of just trying to have community with people. And I'm not saying I'm amazing. Like I'm not saying that whatsoever. I've struggled with not like drinking and partying, but more just like, what am I pursuing?
Yeah.
What's my purpose? Like when I've had, like, it's not wrong to be interested in your career and business and everything, but if you surround yourself with people who only care about money, like, you're only going to care about money.
Yeah.
And I literally just thought of this. It's like when you surround yourself with people, you become like them. But I also think we spend so much time on social media that it's based on who you follow. You will like see more and more of like what your purpose is, and you're like drawn to it. So if you follow a bunch of people who are like, I'll get you rich in 3 weeks, your mindset's just going to be money, 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 and I think that it's just crazy that in this digital age, it's not just physical people, it's also like online and everything. And to be honest, I got to do a better job of that. I should probably go unfollow some people right now.
I do too. I feel like I fall into the same trap, right? Because I love nice things. I love bougie
Oh,
things,
really?
Right.
Really?
Right.
I
So,
honestly never knew that.
Yeah. So, on Instagram, and the past couple of years, I've gotten into fitness a lot. I've been trying to work out, try to better myself. So I follow a lot of business and workout accounts. And kind of what we were talking about with Taylor last week. New episode drops soon, but
Drops today.
drops today. Check it out. Anyhow, wait, it won't drop today by the time they're listening to this.
Oh shoot.
Well, we can't cut this out, so continue.
Anyhow, yeah. So, as kind of what we were saying, what you see on Instagram a lot of times are fake, but
Yes.
we're chasing after that fake life.
Wow.
We are chasing after that fake life.
Wow.
We are chasing after that influencer six-pack, influencer body and fitness that we can't achieve without, doing the extreme. We are chasing the lavish lifestyle that it's unattainable sometimes, right? So I feel like we do, and eventually when we're chasing, we're starting to put those things above God.
Idols, yeah.
Yeah, those are new idols that gets created. Those are new idols that form in our lives. Like now I might skip church to go work an extra day. I might skip church to go work out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that, if I didn't do it for a day, I'm behind. I'm not on track to chase this dream body. But I skipped a church event. I skipped a youth group.
Yeah.
I skipped
Yeah.
fellowship with my people to chase that.
Yeah.
So
So good.
yeah, social media, man, it's, it's good because it allows you to connect with people that easily, right? But
Right.
it's also, it paints a false image with people. So.
I really think when someone's trying to find their purpose and identity, and like say they don't know what it is, which sometimes I think it's clear, but I really think a person needs to look at their priorities.
Wow.
They need to look at their priorities, because if you are not prioritizing like the Lord and just like sanctification in him, it's like he is not your purpose. Like you may say he is, but you are living in a false reality. It's like, what are your priorities? And it's like, I'm not saying I'm amazing at this. That's not what I'm saying, but like in my life, sometimes it's people. Sometimes like it's business ideas and chasing money, and it's just really tough trying to like be honest with yourself and be like, wow, my priorities, my purpose is just whack.
And I think like as a Christian, like having your purpose in the Lord is great, and I think pursuing passions is so important. But I think remembering the verse of like, seek first the kingdom and all will be added, and genuinely trusting that if you seek the Lord first, if you're waking up and you're getting into your word, you're getting into prayer with him, like everything else is going to line up exactly how he wants. It's like you're not putting this job, your workouts, you're not putting that above God. If you literally seek him first, like you just have to trust that everything else is going to fall in line in his timing, not your own.
God will provide.
Like,
if you believe in him and you trust in him, he will provide.
Right.
Regardless, what you desire, what you want. If it's meant for you, he will provide.
And he knows your desires.
Yeah, he knows your desires. If it's good for you, he'll provide.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think like with what you just said, like that's fantastic. And I would sometimes take that verse out of context myself. And I'd be like, oh, if I just seek first the kingdom of God, I'll get whatever I want. I'm going to do these amazing big things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be like amazing and stuff. And like, I really want to do these big things.
Yeah.
But then someone told me, what's your definition of big and what's God's definition of big?
Come on. That's so
like,
good.
don't say your plans are God's plans.
Wow.
Don't equate, I want this, therefore I want to live for God so that I get this.
Yeah, it's not transactional.
It's not transactional. And the one thing that I love is that, like, God knows what is best for you. He knows what is best for you.
Wow.
And it's, in my mind, it can be hard to accept that.
Yeah.
It can be hard to accept, but like that's where his sovereignty comes into play.
Wow. I love that, seriously.
So.
I feel like I'm so passionate about that. Like,
jeez, I'm kind of like tearing up right now. Yeah.
I'm so passionate about that. Like, seriously, we always want, like, we're such a bird's eye view of life. We want what we see. We want it instantly. It's like sometimes the Lord humbles us. He's like, first of all, you have to wait. And second of all, I wasn't even giving you that. But it's not even that. I'm not giving you that because I have something better. But you need to be patient as my child. You need to be patient and trust me. And it's like in the season of waiting for whatever that is, whether it's a job, a career, a future, a relationship, being able to wait in that season, I think you learn so much of like, okay, who am I? Like, am I actually trusting God or do I just say that? Am I actually trusting God or do I just sing about it? Like, being able to say, God, if I don't get this job, I trust you because I know that you have better for me. Like, I think that's the hardest thing for people today.
And that he's going to provide.
And that he's going to provide.
Even if you don't get that job, he's going to provide.
He's going to provide.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to let you.
He knows what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so good, Tom. Wow.
Yeah.
It keeps coming back to that.
No, absolutely. Because, we were, for my job this year, it's, for the first part of our job was very slow this year for everybody. And for everybody in the company, we were talking. We were like, hey, some of us are Christians in the company. We're all talking today. Hey, we're gonna be okay. God's gonna provide.
Wow.
Right. So, and he has.
Wow.
Yeah. So the goal is just to continue to trust in Him. Don't lose faith, and to know that your needs are covered when you trust in Him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think like for young adults that are going to college, like if you are seeking to get into community, if you're seeking to be a follower of Jesus, like we're not saying, oh, you're going to get to college and this is what you're going to fall into. You have the free will to do that. But there's also the free will to follow Jesus. And if you believe and trust that He will provide, like you will find friends. If you're seeking community, if you're seeking churches, if you're seeking that Christian fellowship, like there's a verse, not seek first kingdom. Those who draw near to me, I will draw near to them. Like that's like if you're constantly pursuing that, if you're chasing that, He will provide that.
Yeah, and Lord will provide that community for you. Kind of like you were saying. Us three, we all went to a Christian-based college, and so it's easy to find that fellowship. But I have a friend who's in Kansas right now, and he's a believer, and he told me that he went on Facebook, kind of look at hey, Kansas University, Christian college group, and he found a Bible study group that they kids from Kansas University, and they meet for Bible study every week.
Yeah.
If your heart is there, you have a desire, you'll find the fellowship group for you.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Regardless where you go to college, you can find a Christian group everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're already following Jesus going into college, I think it's so, because I know a bunch of girls that are going right now from like my small group, and it's like if you don't run your roots deep now, and you don't stand firm in the Lord now, what makes you think you're going to stand firm when you go out?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's like when you grow up in the Christian church, and my dad's a pastor, so I was born in the church.
Shout out.
I don't know anything different,
Shout out Scotty P.
Shout out Scotty P.
Shout out Scotty P. Blue check mark. Meme Lord.
If you're
Give a
watching
follow.
this, shout out.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We just name dropped.
Name drop Scotty P. All right. It's done. We'll definitely get him on this podcast. Don't worry.
That would be a
it's gonna
good
be fire.
You guys don't even know. Even know. Best guess.
You need to get Gma on here.
Oh, I'm not sure if she would know how to use a mic. Like, no, I'm being serious.
Gma and Scotty P on one podcast.
I don't know. All right.
Sorry.
I was going somewhere with this.
Sorry, bro.
But you were saying when you're going to college, you need to be rooted so that when you get there, you can stand strong
firm. Yep.
Yes. And when you grow up in the church, you hear the phrase like, make your faith your own, not your parents.
Wow.
And everything, and growing up, I was always like, yeah, my faith is my own. Like, yes, I'm standing firm. And went to a Christian high school. Then I went to a Christian college. Said the same thing. My faith is my own. Like, I'm away from my parents now. And I'm at college and I'm doing great. And then at like the end of college and coming back home, it was like, it hit me.
Wow.
It was like, I either like accept this or I don't.
Wow.
And it's like, it hit me like a brick. Like,
wow.
and I just was, and it probably took me like a year and a half, 2 years, like of just struggling. Like, this isn't a, like, I'm now deciding that like I'm going to live this way and he's going to be my purpose and everything like that. You know, like it takes time. And
wow.
like no one really told me that it would be that hard, or maybe that's not normal.
No, that is.
But like that was just my struggle and like my thought process and everything.
Yeah, and I feel like you're not alone, right? I feel like sometimes I see the strongest faith in people who didn't grow up in a Christian home, because that's something that a lot of people like you or a lot of people I know from our church struggle with. They've been in church their whole lives. Their parents are Christians. They were born in the church. They've been put into Sunday school, Awana, all these things, and that's all they know, right? How
That's all I knew.
that's all they know, right? In my opinion, is like how do you have something for your own when in a way you didn't choose it? You know what I'm saying? Because it's put up on you. It's been pushed towards you your entire life. You're born. You're a church. Jesus is fed into you every Sunday. You almost think that this is what I'm supposed to believe, right? But that's not faith. You're thinking, oh, this is what I'm supposed to believe, but it's not there for your own, right? You don't have a desire to have that faith on your own.
Yeah.
So
And I think I love when I see people who grow up in Christian homes and who don't. Like, I love watching the way that they grow so differently. Like, because I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and like my walk with Jesus probably looks a lot different than yours. But I think there's so much. It's so precious seeing like you don't grow up in a Christian home, but you grow up and you're so strong in the Lord, or you've grown up in a Christian home all your life. Standing firm in that is just as hard. I think a lot of people look down at that and they're like, oh, you got it handed to you. But it's like, that's not true, because this world is deceitful and broken and fallen. And it's like being able to hold that for your whole life, that's hard. And being able to say, like, even though I grew up in this, like, I still had my ups and downs. I still hit a really low point. But in the end, I'm still following Jesus. I think that's just as hard as, okay, I never knew Jesus, but now I do.
Yeah. And like something for me that I struggle with is I grew up in the church, you know, and like my entire life. And sometimes I still feel really numb to like, oh, I'm reading my Bible, I'm going to church again, I'm listening to the pastor speak. And sometimes it's hard for me to like find that passion again and find the fire. And I look at people who got saved later in life, and a lot of them have that, and I get jealous of that. And sometimes I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Like, is my heart not in the right spot? And sometimes I'm like, yes, and then sometimes I'm like, no. And it's tough.
Thank you for sharing that.
It's a tough feeling.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think being saved later in life or being saved your whole life, I think the verse that says, restore the joy of my salvation, I think that's something I hold dear to, because we become so comfortable. Like, what is this? Even like out of church, in church, this whole world is about comfortability, being comfortable in your job, financially, being comfortable in your faith. All these things, people want to be comfortable, but it's like that becomes dangerous. When you're comfortable, that's actually dangerous. So being uncomfortable and like praying, saying like, Lord, restore the joy of my salvation. Like, from the day you save me, make me feel like that again, and he will. Because I think I've seen myself even like in the last year, like I become comfortable. I'm like, oh Lord, like I'm saved. I'm good. Like I'm going to heaven. I'm good. But it's like, are you? Like, if I died right now, is he pleased with what I've done for him? You know, it's like we're never at a point in our life where we're done learning or growing, because you pick up your Bible, I bet you can learn something new right now. And you're never done growing. And I think that's just the sweetness of following Jesus. Like, you're not done until he calls you home. Honestly, like, we're constantly growing. We're constantly learning new things. And I think everyone's just at a different point in their walk, wherever they're at spiritually. But being able to say, like, Lord, I still have this joy for you because I get to learn more, and I get to have this life that I get to live with purpose and abundant life.
Wow. That's...
It's deep, right?
Yeah, that's deep. Deep.
I love that stuff, you know? Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I think so many people are in that.
Yeah.
Like, that are Christians. And they're at the church and they, like, go on Sunday, they check off the box. But then it's like they're empty like, the whole week.
Kind of like what you guys are saying. When you don't have that fire anymore, it becomes a chore.
Yeah.
Opening your Bible becomes kind of like sports. You fell out of it because, you know.
Okay, connections
it
coming back.
Becomes,
that was...
Let's do a little, like...
Yeah, it
wow.
becomes, like, right?
Crossover.
You becomes a chore.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to open my Bible in the morning, right?
You
not I want to open my Bible.
Wow.
I have to go to practice, not I want to go to practice. You know, it's... You got to keep that fire.
That's so
you got to keep that fire in
good.
Your faith.
That's
Absolutely.
so good.
Christianity's the sports that you got to keep pursuing. I'm not sure if that's a good analogy.
Wait, but I mean...
Yeah, you have to keep pursuing it. Sanctification, kind of
think-
like you're always
yeah,
being
yeah.
renewed.
Ooh, you're being
you know?
sanctified every day.
Yes.
I mean,
okay.
I think literally just the gospel, like Jesus coming down in the flesh, dying on the cross for our sins, and then rising again 3 days later. That if that doesn't speak to you and make you excited, and you know that Jesus did that for you, that should excite you so much you want to tell other people about it. Like that's what should give you that fire and that drive. Like knowing that that's enough. Like if Jesus never did another thing for you, never gave you anything else, the cross should be enough.
Amen.
Ooh,
Amen.
that's so serious.
Cam, fire.
Dude, sorry, it's just
Maybe you
like
should be a preacher.
I'm being
Maybe that's your calling.
okay. I love podcasts. Like I feel like I could have a podcast. Like
Yeah.
me, shout out Corinne. Me and Corinne have talked about it.
Ooh.
We can do a podcast.
Podcast. Would you have me and Tom on?
Yeah, we can
Maybe.
we can do a little trade off.
I just have to make sure we have more followers than you.
I was gonna say
Otherwise,
whoever,
I might report your
Whoever-
account just to sabotage it.
whoever,
If you ever get more followers than we do, I'll probably report it.
whoever gets-
This account's DMing me weird stuff. Please report this.
Wow.
Oh
Boy,
my gosh.
no. Watch the Lord will bless you guys' podcast. I just know it.
Yeah.
There's so much fruit that's gonna go.
Thank
oh
you.
my gosh.
I trust that the Lord will bless us.
You do trust
Yeah.
that.
I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
I
too.
think-
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
But you still can't have more than one.
Yeah.
I won't allow
Good thing
that
you can't cut anything out of this. I love the
Right.
transparency.
Oh no!
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I
no,
love
no,
it.
no.
I love
No,
it.
This is going right
Oh.
on. This is going right on. Anyhow, yeah, dude, Cam, thank you for coming
Yeah,
in today
thank
and
you.
talking to us,
Yeah.
sharing your experience with us.
Yeah.
Now, before we end every podcast,
Yes.
we always have one question for the guests. All right, you guys already know what it is. Cam, do you or do you not tip the barista at a coffee shop?
Great question. It depends on the coffee shop. Starbucks, I'm not tipping at Starbucks. They're getting paid hourly. Why would I add on to that? That sounds so rude, but like, I don't need to tip them. But if I go to like a small coffee shop, local coffee shop, and I know they're only making $7-8 an hour,
Right.
I'm gonna tip them.
I agree with that.
What do you
but-
mean you
but
agree
how-
with that?
I do agree with that. I've talked about, but how do you know? I don't do it, but because how do you know?
I just assume when it's a
Yeah.
small coffee shop, I just
Yeah, yeah,
assume.
yeah.
But here's my thing.
I don't need to know.
that.
Honestly, my
You
money's
know,
not my own.
they like
Here you go.
they might be paying minimum wage just like Starbucks, but you're not tipping at Starbucks. Why would you tip there? Because not every small coffee shop
Yeah, you're
only
right.
gets paid. You know.
You're right. Usually I know though.
So I just give a uniform. No tip.
Shout out Oak and Bean. We be tipping there.
Yeah.
Shout out Oak and Bean. I do not be tipping there.
Shout out Oak and Bean. I sometimes be tipping there.
Yeah.
Shout out
maybe.
Oak and Bean. I
Same.
still won't tip there.
Okay.
Wow.
Cam,
guys.
any last thoughts?
No, I'm just
on
grateful.
anything?
Grateful for you guys. Grateful
Yeah.
for how you're reaching young adults.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how the Lord's
We
gonna
can't
use
wait
it.
for your podcast to start.
I can't wait to have more
Yeah.
followers than you.
Oh man, I'm gonna report it every day. I'm gonna create a bunch of Instagram accounts and I'm gonna report
Just
it.
bots.
Bro.
I'm gonna pay for AI bots to report it.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Everybody report.
All right, guys.
Instant shutdown every time.
All right.
We can do this
This
off cam. We
has
can talk about this
been-
off
No,
cam.
no.
This has been Young Adult Diary Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your co-host, Austin Poling.
I'm your co-host Tom Jing. Thank you, Cam, for coming on with us.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hooray!